Yeah, definitely the mindset is what keeps a lot of people stuck. And it's just not subscribing to the fear. Like it's there, it comes up. I'm not saying I wasn't fearful because that it does come up. It's just realizing that that's not really you. That's just your mind trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And because it's a new thing. And so your mind doesn't know what's coming and it just wants to keep you safe.
Hey friends, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a photographer and educator on a mission to help you find your passion, power, and purpose through entrepreneurship. So let's jump right into today's episode because this girl means business. Hey there, welcome back to the Girl Means Business podcast. Thank you so much for being here this week. We are pretty much right smack dab in the middle of summer, and I don't know about y'all, but this is the time of year when I start daydreaming about snowy mountain caps and cool, crisp fall breezes. I'm ready for these 100-degree days to end, and if you live somewhere where the weather is mild, then enjoy it, because down here in the South, it is hot, hot, hot. And the fact that nothing is open, so there's really nothing we can go do. Luckily, we have our pool the girls can swim in, but all of our summer camps and summer activities have been canceled, so we're just trying to kind of scramble and make the most of the situation that we're in. So hopefully, wherever you are surviving summer right now in this crazy time that we live in. One of the things that's really helped me is focusing on my mindset. And by nature, I'm pretty much an optimistic person, which is funny because I'm married to a pure pessimist. And I think it works out as a good balance sometimes, but I know that among my friends, I'm the one who always kind of sees things through rose-colored glasses. However, a lot of that comes down to my mindset and the fact that I choose to look through a lens of gratitude and finding the silver lining as opposed to looking for the negative. And that's really been a huge part of what has helped me to get through the last few months without feeling depressed and without having extended periods of sadness and frustration and overwhelm and anxiety. And so today I'm chatting with Lisa Conto, and she specializes in helping women get their mindset in a place that allows them to live a life of abundance rather than a life of scarcity and fear. And so we're chatting in our conversation just about what mindset looks like and how we can change our mindset so that we are looking through that lens that gives a little bit of a shine to everything, even when it doesn't feel like it should be shiny. And that's not to say that mindset means you block out all the negative. It just means that you are choosing to focus on things that are more joyful and that have a little bit more of a silver lining. Instead of just listening to me ramble on about it, let's go ahead and jump into my conversation with Lisa Conto. Quick side note before we get to the interview. I want to apologize now for the poor audio quality on my end of this interview. I did not realize until after the interview that my microphone had basically died. It gave out on me. So I've replaced it. It's all good now, but I didn't realize that at the time. So that's why my end of the conversation just sounds really echoey and not so great. So I want to apologize for that. But other than that, the interview is fabulous. So let's go ahead and get to it. Hey guys, I'm here with Lisa Conto. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the show this week. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so we'll jump right in, and I'll ask you the same thing I ask all our guests here, is just tell us your story. So tell me about who you are, what you do, and sort of the journey that led you to where you are today.
Yeah, great. I love telling my story. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York in the country. I think my graduating class was like 60 people. And I decided I wanted to have a new lifestyle. So I moved to Los Angeles, California. And that was about 8-9 years ago. And I've been a registered nurse for 10 years now. And this past about 2-3 months ago, I left nursing and I started my passion of life coaching. And that kind of all started when I really didn't like nursing anymore, what I was doing at the bedside. And I just felt so stuck and struggling in my life. And I just couldn't see a path of what I could do. I saw everyone else, not everyone else, but a lot of my idols were loving their jobs and living their days as they wanted to. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to design my life. I wanted to help people in a way that I felt fulfilled, and I wanted to empower women. And I didn't know how to do it. So I got my first life coach 2 years ago, and I've had the biggest transformation. I'm a completely different person. And really, it comes down to mindset. And I just love helping women change their mindset and going for their goals and helping them realize that they do have a dream and that it's possible to obtain.
I love that. So you made, first of all, I want to back up to your move from New York to California. So that's huge because that's like completely across the country, not only like location wise, but then lifestyle wise and scenery wise, like everything. Did you know people in California, or was it just like a completely buffet? Like, I'm just going to go and figure it out when I get there.
I did move with my boyfriend. So I did have someone, but other than that, I knew no one out here. And, I was just really, really excited. I couldn't wait to start a new lifestyle. And it was a shock. But I am so happy that I moved. It put me into a whole another mentality. And I've learned so much just from being in a new place where
Well,
people.
I think, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because a lot of people here are, they're very transformational, I think, as opposed to the small town in New York.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. And I think, I was going to say too, like little things, I mean, that's not a little thing. Moving across the country is not a little thing, but I think that in some form or fashion, we've all had that moment of change and the possibility of change. And I know for me, like I have shied away from those moments sometimes in my past because they're super scary. And it's that leap of faith if I don't know what's going to happen. And in your case, it's I don't know what life out there looks like. I don't know who am I going to be friends with? Who am I going to meet? Where are we going to live? What are we going to do for careers? What are we going to do? All learning an entire new, almost a culture. Because really it's kind of culture shock, I'm sure, when you got there. And I know people that have like moved to other countries. I know people like those are big things, but I think every woman listening to this has had that moment somewhere in their lives or their career where they've gone, this is my moment to take this risk. And a lot of times that fear stops them, that mindset of I can't do this stops them. So I think that's really impressive that even early on you were like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, definitely the mindset is what keeps a lot of people stuck. And it's just not subscribing to the fear. Like it's there, it comes up. I'm not saying I wasn't fearful because that it does come up. It's just realizing that that's not really you. That's just your mind trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And because it's a new thing. And so your mind doesn't know what's coming and it just wants to keep you safe. It's the lizard brain, right?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And so we're going to talk a lot about mindset today. And what I want to kind of go through with you, if it's okay with you, is just sort of some of the issues I have faced with mindset in my life and my business, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are listening can relate to some of them or who can find a connection to the things that they maybe have been struggling with. I know you have left your full-time job to do this new career path that you're on. I too have left a full-time career where I was a teacher and I left to become a photographer and now an educator. And it's scary. I think that's a big one that a lot of people that have started businesses or are running businesses have that fear of, I feel so safe where I am. And to make that leap is huge. So let's talk about that sort of mindset shift of safety and security versus the unknown, but the potential the unknown holds.
Right. So I think my biggest tip is to make a vision for yourself. What do you want in 5 years, 10 years? Like, what really would you desire? And start from that and start with your why. Why do you want to change? And what else is out there? Right. And then you can go from that place and know that the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, just connecting to what your purpose is. And if you don't know your purpose, just visioning what you would love, because often our purpose involves our passion, our natural born gifts.
I like that, because I know I wish I'd had you back when I was quitting my teaching job, because I didn't have a way to like verbalize what I was feeling internally. And I like what you said about really know like your why and your vision, because all I knew was I had this feeling inside of me that was like, I need to do something different. I need to change. I need to, like I've said on this podcast before multiple times, for me, it was the moment when I received my contract for the following year and I could not physically bring myself to sign it. And I was like, there's just this something inside of me that's not letting me do this. I know there's something more. I couldn't visualize it. I couldn't verbalize it. I couldn't even tell you what my vision was for the next 5 years, but I wish I had been able to, because it was all in there and I eventually figured it out. But how do you, for someone who was like me, who's sitting here thinking, I know there's something else out there for me, I have that feeling in my gut, how do you take that feeling and turn it into something tangible?
So that's the first thing, is listening to the feeling. That's the most important aspect. If you have a gut feeling, that is always 100% right. It's your mind that talks you out of it. So I would recommend, let's see. Sorry, what was the question? I got so distracted by the gut feeling.
No, just how to take that feeling and do something with it. Like, how do you take that feeling where you maybe don't know what the feeling means and somehow put a vision to it or put words to it?
Got it. So yeah, when you're, just make a list of everything you love. If you don't know what you want to do, or you can't figure out your vision, I love to make a list every single day of what made me happy, what brought me joy today. And eventually you'll see a pattern of what makes you happy. And then you can kind of use those things and maybe incorporate them into a career, or if you have a side hobby that you've always wanted to do and been too scared to take the risk. But it's always using what you're good at and what you love to do to move forward.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you have been listening to the Girl Means Business podcast for any amount of time, then you know my love of email marketing runs deep. Not only is it a great way to generate new leads, but it's one of the most effective methods for nurturing warm leads and turning them into sales. Now, over the years, I've tested several email platforms, and my favorite by far is Flowdesk. Not only do they make email marketing simple and easy, even for the technically challenged, but they have everything you need to create stunning emails, capture leads, make sales, and automate the entire process, giving you time back in your busy day. And the cherry on top is you're only charged one flat fee no matter how many subscribers you have. So while other platforms will increase your price when you go over your pricing tier limit, Flowdesk has no price increases or hidden fees. If you're ready to give Flowdesk a try, click the link below in the show notes to save 50% off your first year. Let Flowdesk help you design emails people will love. Click the link below and check it out. I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I do. Yeah, I like that. I love that, because I've learned, and I don't study mindset like you do, obviously, but I've been working a lot on sort of figuring out like what it is that is holding me back from things, or what has held me back in the past so I don't make that same mistake. And one of the things we'd mentioned when we first were talking before I recorded was about limiting beliefs. And so I want to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs and what that means and what we can do to move past those. So I have a few I'm going to share with you in a minute, but I want you to just kind of give us a little bit of a sort of a definition or some ideas behind what exactly limiting beliefs are.
So, limiting belief is a belief that most likely you've been believing since you were a child. You had an experience when you were little, and your brain developed a belief because something happened. So now it doesn't want that to happen again. It's trying to keep you safe. So it develops a belief that you carry into your adult life. And oftentimes we believe that these beliefs are 100% true. Like, we don't even know that there's another way to believe. So that's when I can help you question those beliefs and turn them around and say, oh, there is another way.
Yeah, because I know for me, one of my limiting beliefs going back to even like leaving my job was the idea that, I don't know how to put into words perfectly, but the idea that in order to be successful, you had to essentially work for somebody else. You had to kind of fit into a certain mold, whether it was me being a teacher or you worked in a corporate job or you had some kind of, quote unquote, professional job that you were, professional role that you held. And it took a lot for me to figure out that, like, no, it's really okay. And really it took other people in my family telling me, no, we think this is a good idea for you. We think that you can be successful at this. And once I was able,
Go to the restroom.
Sorry. Once I was able to move past that and like realize like, oh no, that's all in my head. It's not what somebody else has told me. It's something I have had in my head for whatever reason. And once I was able to move through that, it was like busting through a wall. Like everything changed. A weight was lifted. It was amazing. So I know, like, I now kind of look for like, what are my limiting beliefs? What are the things that are holding me back? And I still have several. And so one of them being, I guess, the idea that I don't have the time to make my business as successful and as big as I want it to be. Because being a mom, having kids at home, as you heard, one just interrupted me to tell me she was going to the bathroom of all things. Like, I don't always have the time. And now with what's going on, the kids are home all the time and summer coming up, they're going to be home all the time. Then it's hard for me to look at my business and think, oh, I can make this huge success. I know it can be, and I want it to be, because I'm split between being a business owner and a mom and a wife and all these other things. And so let's kind of talk to that, because I know a lot of people listening are probably thinking the same thing. They're like, yeah, I don't have the time to devote to this the way I should or the way other people do.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I hear all the time. I don't have enough time. But my thought is, if it was really, really important, you would make the time. And like, you'd make the time to brush your teeth, to eat, all of these really important things you make the time to do. And I think it goes back to connecting to why you want to do it. What is the bigger picture? And when we can connect to the why, I find it's easier to make the time. And I think just even scheduling it in and putting it on the calendar is a big part of it. Like, making your day, like, really going through and putting time blocks in your calendar, writing in, when do I have the time? And looking through your day and seeing what you can change around and what you can cut out. Maybe you can delegate something to someone else.
Yeah. No, those are good things. I mean, we could probably go on this topic all day long, but I know for me, having kids, again, like the one that just interrupted, they don't understand that boundary of the door's closed, you don't come in, or this is my time. And I think that as a mom, we feel torn between, well, if I'm working 6 to 8 hours a day, that means I'm ignoring my kids for 6 to 8 hours a day, or that I'm not being the good mom, or I'm not providing for them, or the fact that, like, obviously mine are a little bit older and they're able to entertain each other. And I can leave them for an hour to do a podcast interview in the other room and know they're going to be fine for the most part. But then there's the ones who are like, I have a 1-year-old who will sit here and scream and cry, or I have to have on my lap, or I have to work only during nap times. So I think that there's definitely obviously some truth behind that, but it's also a matter of, like you said, if you really want it you will make the time for it, whether it's first thing in the morning, late at night, during nap times, all those things. And I get that, like, I'm sure there's people listening that are like, I've heard that before. I get it. It doesn't always work. I get that obviously there's going to be mornings where your kid wakes up early. There's going to be nights where you're exhausted and you go to sleep, at 8:00 when your kids go to bed or whatever, or nap times that get interrupted by other things. But if you, like you said, if you have it in your schedule, you're more likely to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think a schedule helps. And even, like you said, taking 1 hour to do one thing and then going back to your kids. So that way, maybe you're not always feeling like you're gone for the 8 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say, I know for me, like, I prefer blocks of time as opposed to, like, I'll work on this for 30 minutes, I'll go play for 30 minutes. Like, I need to have, like, these are my 4 hours. Let me have these 4 hours to get everything done. Because once I start something, it's like it's like a snowball. I can't stop. Like, I need to keep going. And if I stop, I lose that momentum. And then I have to almost start over again. So you have to find what works for you. Like, some people can do, like, I'm going to spend an hour on this, and then I'm going to take a break and go play with my kids or go fix lunch or go outside for a walk. And then I'll come back and I'll do something else for an hour. And so you have to kind of figure out what works with your, like, how you do things, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think taking the time to figure that out, what works best for you, is part of the process. And just knowing that everything is figure outable. I love that book, by the way. Really, if someone else can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
So maybe even look for some inspirations from another mom that has maybe 3 more kids and she's running a 7-figure business.
Yeah.
Like, and just finding the inspiration, because it can be done. And it's like belief in yourself as well.
Well, and I have found too, for me, what helps is really curating my social media and being in control of what I do get influenced by. With this whole quarantine being home thing, I've really taken the time to kind of clean up my social media accounts and unfollow people that are, like, even just taking the time as I'm scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and not just scrolling past the ones I don't care to see anymore, or the ones that make me feel a certain way, but actually taking the time to unfollow or unfriend or, whatever it is you want to do. And that has helped a lot, because now when I go to my Instagram feed, instead of seeing all of these super successful businesswomen who are, young and single, or who, don't have kids at home and they're doing all these great things, it's now full of moms who are doing great things. It's now full of women who are in the same stage of life that I am, who are doing amazing things. And they share their struggles, and they share their family situations, and they share their successes. And that inspires me to realize, like, oh, this lady has 3 kids and she homeschools her 3 kids, and she still manages to write an amazing book, have a podcast, do all these speaking events, travel, have an online community. Like, she does it all, and she does it showing us that she's doing it as a mom. So I think I like the idea of really making sure you're inspired by people that are similar to where you are at your stage of life.
Yeah, exactly. I think whoever you surround yourself with really will empower you. So we have to make sure we're following the right kind of people.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So another limiting belief I want to kind of address, and this is one that I struggled with in the past. I've worked on it. I think it still kind of comes up every once in a while, but it's the idea that I'm not meant to be a business owner, or that I'm not meant to be super successful. I'm not going to be, like the Rachel Hollises or the Marie Forleos or the, whoever it is that you look up to. I'm not going to be like those people, because they're a rare breed. So what do you say to the people who are like, that's not something that's made for me, that's unique to them?
I'd say that that's not true, because we're all humans and they are no different from you. They have the exact same struggles. Even if you listen to these women, they tell their stories. They started from nowhere. They built their business and they did it. They're human. So I think that we can use them for inspiration, but I also think that we can't really lean into the self-doubt. We have to just, say, be away from it. You can see it. I see the self-doubt coming in, but you can't attach yourself with it. So it's kind of just seeing it and kind of brushing it away, right? It's and then replacing it with a better thought, because our thoughts create our feelings and our feelings create our actions, which create our results. So it's really about changing your thoughts
And
around.
so how do you do that? Because I know, like, I mean, we're obviously as women, a lot of times we're in our heads a lot. And sometimes I will have this narrative running in my head that I don't even realize is a limiting belief, or I don't even realize is a negative narrative. So how do you train yourself to catch that and then flip it around?
Yes, great question. For me, and I think with most women, I feel it first. So I feel anxious, I feel stressed. I don't feel on top of my game, right? So I know that I'm thinking something. There's something running around in my head that's making me feel that way. So I'll sit down and I'll literally just do a brain dump on paper and write out all the thoughts I'm thinking. And then I'll pick maybe a couple of them out and I'll say, okay, this thought isn't serving me. And I'll just change it to the opposite, just completely flip it over. And I'll give myself 3 examples of how that new thought is actually true. So it's really reprogramming your brain to be more positive. And then eventually those thoughts will become more true than the limiting belief.
I love that. Okay. So, cause I'm great at the brain dump. That's what I do. Like when I can't sleep at night is I just write things down, or I get up, I have to somehow get it out of my head, whether it's writing it down, or I'll do like a voice memo on my phone of things I need to like remind myself of, or whatever it is that's in my head. So I like the idea of taking that and then flipping it into something positive, something beneficial. So what else? I know you have a program you're starting. So what are some of the other things that you maybe recommend for someone who is struggling with their mindset? Because I think that especially with where we are in our kind of current state, with everybody sort of having all of these things coming at you, whether it's you have your kids home, you're trying to pivot your business to fit what's going on in the world, or you decide to start a new business, or your business is floundering. There's some negative things coming into our minds. So what are some tips that you give just kind of in general, as far as like learning how to get your mindset in the right place?
So meditation, always. It gives both of your brains the left and the right side, time to connect with each other. And I think a lot of times you can really see what thoughts pop into your head, and then you can question them. Oh, just keep questioning. Is this really true? And just find yourself examples of how it's not true and how it is true, and just question it. Just really see, is this thought serving me? And self-care. It's super important for our mindset is to take care of ourselves, taking the time, to maybe take a bath, or even in this time, getting dressed up in real clothes and putting makeup on. Like little things that make us feel good inside. And journaling. I love journaling. That can really help make a better mindset. Gratitude, being just waking up in the morning and maybe saying 5 gratitudes right before you even get out of bed.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
yeah, gratitude can change your state in a second. It's one of my go-to things to, like, if I'm feeling really bad, I'll just do 5 things I'm grateful for, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I can figure it out now.
Yeah.
uh, and another thing is journaling as like taking what you want in the future and making it now. So I am living in my dream house in X, Y, and Z. So just using what you want and journal it as it is now. And your brain doesn't know the difference if it's in the future or if it's now, if you're writing it. So you can kind of trick yourself into a better feeling state. And that's part of manifestation as well.
Oh, I love it. See, and I've read a little bit about manifestation. I haven't really like dug deep into that yet, but I want to at some point because I do like, I believe that we can create our own futures. We can create our own success or all those things. I want to go back to the gratitude thing really quick because I think this is something that I know has helped me out of the thing because I love the idea of meditation. I haven't quite given it the time to like learn it and improve on it and work on it. I've done journaling, but the gratitude has been one of the things that you mentioned that has really been helpful to me. And I do exactly what you say is when I find myself struggling, the first thing I try to do is think of things that I'm grateful for that have happened recently. So not like, I try not to be general. I don't try to say like, oh, I've got family and friends and, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my kids. I try to be specific about like what has happened in the last 12 to 24 hours that I'm grateful for. And it might be something as simple as I'm grateful that my rose bushes are blooming and I haven't killed them yet, or I'm grateful that, my kids have a big yard to play in so that they're not always on me. They can get their energy out. Or I'm grateful for the fact that my husband remembered to get ice cream at the grocery store last time he went so I can have ice cream for dessert. It's just little things like that I think when we take the time to really get specific in what we're grateful for, even if it sounds ridiculous or cheesy, it does. I've seen it work in my brain. Like I've seen it turn me around from having a day that could go down a really depressing, dark path to, no, I'm going to make this a better day.
Yes, I think gratitude is the number one secret.
I love that. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So tell us about your Restyle Your Lifestyle that you have coming up, your program.
Yes, it's a 12-week one-to-one coaching program. I coach you 1 hour every week, and we go through creating a vision using your values, your top 5 values, and incorporating them into all areas of your life. And we do the life wheel, which will take 6 areas of your life and kind of make them all better so that you don't have a flat tire, I like to say.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
And then we do, but I do the Enneagram. So I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but
yeah,
it's basically you use your personality, and I can kind of coach you around what makes the Enneagram type your struggle versus what you're really good at. So how to use your personality into your daily life for the better. And we talk to your future self. We do a lot of mindset work, and we do money mindset work as well, which I find is super helpful for entrepreneurs. And it's just an all-around program to make your life better. And we set goals over the 12 weeks, and I help you accomplish them. And they're very specific goals that are measurable and attainable to you. And I hold you accountable. And it's a really great program. I'm really excited about it. And I know that it's going to help a lot of women just really enjoy their life and live a life they love.
That's amazing. I love that. And so that's starting, of course, the time we're recording this, it's going to launch this week. So the time this airs, it will already be up and running and they can contact you. I'll have all of that in the show notes. And then you have a special offer for our listeners.
I do. If you mention this podcast, you're going to get $500 off the coaching package.
That's awesome. I love that. And I'll make sure I put all of that in the show notes so people know how to get that and how to get in touch with you. Okay. So before we wrap up, I want to ask my last question for you, which is what I ask a lot of my guests. So if your best friend came to you today and said, okay, Lisa, I have this great business idea. I'm super excited, but I don't really know where to start. What would be your number one piece of advice you would give her?
I would ask her, where do you think you should start? And that's always what it is.
Interesting. So you flip it back around and make them answer their own question.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's always, people are so in indecision that I like to make them decide and just go for it.
Yeah. I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about like decision fatigue and how that's a real thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense as to why by the end of the day, when my husband's like, what are we having for dinner? And I cannot make a decision because I have made decisions all day long, whether it's for myself, my business, my kids, my house, my husband, whoever. And I'm like, I'm so tired of making decisions that if you can get someone to just make a decision, it's pretty amazing. It's rare.
Yes, I love when you just make a decision and stick to it, because if we keep questioning it, you're going to stay stuck. And I want to help you get moving forward.
That's amazing. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being on here. Tell everybody where they can find you and how they can get in touch with you.
My website is lisaconto.com and my Instagram is lisa.conto.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us some insight into mindset and how to break through some of those limiting beliefs. And I'll have all of your info in the show notes so people can follow you and get in touch with you and get to know more about your program that you're offering.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much to Lisa for taking time out of her schedule to chat with us, to share her story, and to walk us through how to break through some of those limiting beliefs. I really appreciate all the guests we have on the show. It means so much to me that they are willing to take time out of their schedules to talk with me, to share their stories, to share their wisdom and advice, and this was definitely no different. If you want to learn more about Lisa, join her coaching program, or follow her on social media, just head down to the show notes, grab those links below. They're all right there for you. And of course, as always, the same links are there for the Girl Means Business page. Make sure you get all your free resources, that you are joining the Facebook group so you can be part of the conversation. And I would love to see you over in our Business Builders membership program. It's a great way for you to dive a little deeper into your business. Each month we have new topics we're talking about with video lessons, tutorials, downloads, workbooks, resource guides, action plans, templates, all the things that you need to run your business. So check that out too. Head over to girlmeansbusiness.com/businessbuilders. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next week, same time, same place.